All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the live demo for day 3 and session 3. How's everyone doing so far? Can I see some thumbs up? Everyone's good? That's good. That's good. I hope everyone's having fun working on merit badges. The Cub Scouts having fun doing their projects. It's good to see everyone. We have a very special guest. We have Reg Osterhout, who is a scout, assistant scoutmaster, right, Reg? Assistant scoutmaster for Troop 70 in Highland, New York, right?
Yeah, I'm everything.
Yes. Are you still involved in the pack too?
Still involved in the pack. I'm the committee chair for both. Den leader, assistant scoutmaster. I wear all the hats.
All right, that sounds good. And also, Reg, he's joining us from Town Square Media, WPDH in Poughkeepsie. I'm just going to turn over to Reg, and just remember that the best way to view this demo and tour is to click the speaker view button on the top of your screen here, so you can see up close everything that he has. So, Reg, take it away.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it. I am the chief engineer here at Town Square Media. We have 7 stations in our what they call a cluster of radio stations. WPDH is our big one. It's a rock station here in Poughkeepsie, servicing Dutchess, Ulster, Orange, Sullivan, part of Westchester counties. So I'm in one of our studios here. I'm going to take you through each of the studios. If you have questions, we'll save them for the end, but put them in the chat so that way John can feed them to me and I can feed them back to you. But a lot of people have questions as we go through the things. I'm going to kind of take you through the studio a little bit. I'll show you a little bit how we do some radio on the air, and hopefully you'll learn something or have a couple of questions or just see some of the magic that happens behind the microphone when you're listening on the radio. I know as a kid, when I was really young, I always tried to figure out how the different acts got from each studio. So I'd listen to like radio in Kingston and I'd figure out how could they get to Albany so quickly. So I never understood it was pre-recorded music. I thought they were doing it all live. So, so if you take a look around now, I've never done a virtual studio tour before. So bear with me. And John, if you for some reason can't see something, just yell. But I'll show you around the room quick. So most everything we do now is on a computer. So I'm going to show you the computer in a second, but that doesn't mean we forgot where we came from. So if you look around the room here, let's see if I'm going over here. This is actually our CD library. So as you can see here, we actually still keep CDs, and this is how we used to play the music, was on CD. And before CD, we actually used records, which I know a lot of the younger generation won't know what a record is anymore, but they've been coming back. So we actually still keep a turntable, which hopefully you can see there. Still keep this in the studio. Every once in a while, we decide we want to listen to something on vinyl, or if we get something new in, we actually have a place we can play it. So that's kind of cool. So the main focus of a radio studio, of course, is if you've ever seen a DJ or somebody doing like a wedding or a party, you see that they normally have some sort of mixer that they run their music through, or if they're actually using vinyl and they're doing what they call like actual mixing, they have some sort of device where they have their mics plugged into and they have their music plugged into and stuff. Well, we have the same thing, and we call it a radio console, and it looks like this. Hopefully you can see this, and this console is where we're able to basically everything in the studio comes up here, so we are able to control the levels and put things together. So as you can see here, we have several microphones. So this particular studio is set up to have multiple guests across, so I could sit here and look and see that I have guests. So we have 4 microphones, and if we turn them on, they come up here. We still do keep CD players in the studios. Just every now and again, the computer might mess up, or we might have something we don't have in the computer, and we're like, God, you know what? We still have that on CD, so we actually have a CD player. These are specially designed CD players, a little more different than something you might have at home. And then each one, so on our mixer, we have things, so everything in the studio runs through this, so that way we can control it. Now I'm going to bring up, this is actually what's playing on this station here. And you can see that if you look here, you can see that these meters, let me put some things down. There we go. You can actually see that these meters are moving. So part of our goal is not to have something really loud on the radio because that doesn't sound good. So here you can see that these meters are going, and hopefully you can see that, into the red. See, so that's sort of okay. See, it sort of bounces back, but if we were, I'd figure out which one I'm actually listening to. See, that one, see, the meters aren't really moving and they're all the way in the red. That's bad because that means it's way, way too loud. So as we're doing this, you know, and if we wanted to take telephone calls, if you come over here, we've got, you know, the phone. We actually have the, let me see if I can get to the phone. The phone is over here. So this is a, let me reach around here, turn it around. This is a special phone panel that we have here. And this is how we take calls. It does have a dial pad on it. You know, we do still take a number of phone calls. But a lot of times we connect to people now, especially since we've been in the pandemic, we connect to people with the computer. So this is the first computer I'm going to show you is this is just a standard internet computer like all you have at home. I can go on the internet, but we have several programs here that we can connect to, and we can actually have people come up on the computer. So if we're doing like a Zoom call, or some of you might have used Teams for school, we do a lot of Teams calls. And we have another program that we have a couple of radio type programs we use that can connect. So I can, let's say I wanted to talk to someone in Arizona, I can actually send them a link and we can connect, and it sounds like we're sitting in two studios together talking. And I would pull them up on my control board here, and that way I would be able to have them on the radio as I come through. So everything for the radio station, in order to control everything, so you have levels, you know where it's going, has to come through this control mixer. You know, so each one of the studios, each one of the radio stations has some sort of control mixer like this. So this is one of the, I'd say one of the newer ones we have in the building. We have some older ones as well here. And as you can see, there's lots of buttons. And I'm taking you down here, you can see that each one of these controllers has multiple what we call channels on them. So for instance, if sometimes I have to play things as I'm doing a radio shift, I might have to play things that I don't want the audience to hear. So let's say it's a song we're going to play, and I'm not sure how the song starts. I might want to play the song in the studio, but not out over the air. So what we do here is we would take our selector switches and we would say, hey, the one that is red means it goes out on the air. The one in green means it stays just in the studio. So we can actually control what we hear here on the radio. So it's kind of cool. It gives you a chance to really, you know, kind of go through, and you can preview things. You can listen to things. Behind me here these are mic processors. So all the microphones, one of the things is if it sounds really bad on the radio, you don't want to listen to it. So our mic processors, we have these special processors that are set up here that every time we talk through the mic, these actually move. And if you can actually see the one up here is picking up my voice, even though I'm not speaking into it, I'm in the room. And what happens is it basically cleans up that stuff so it sounds really good, because once again, if it sounds really bad on the radio, most people aren't going to listen to it. So that's why you know, we have all of that. Let me turn you over to as we go around the room here. So this is our computer system, and right now each station has a screen that shows us what's playing on air. So right now I have up the WPDH screen, and right now on their station, it's classic rock. They're playing Aerosmith, Living on the Edge. And they're going to play that song, and hopefully you can see all this. So what it does is it tells us what song is currently playing on the air. and it shows us how much time we have left in that song. So the song was about 4 minutes and 51 seconds. We have right now 2 minutes and 30 seconds left until that song ends. And this list here basically shows us what's coming up in the hour. So what's going to happen after Aerosmith is the guy who's on the air is going to play this rock speaker, which this rock liner, which promotes that we're doing 40 minutes of rock without commercials. Then he's going to go into a song from the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Then the guy who's on the air is Hopkins. He's going to talk here, and he's going to go into Bon Jovi. Then we're going to play this summer liner. So this is kind of cool, talking about summer in the Hudson Valley. Then we're going to play a song from Styx. Then we're going to play another liner. We're going to play Queen. The guy on the air is going to talk again. And then we're going to play Kansas. Then we're going to play a promo, and we're going to go into commercials. And if I scroll down the log, I can see what's coming up for the rest of the hour. And into the next hour as well. So at noontime, they do a lunchtime request show where they actually let people call in, or people go on the app and actually request the music that they're playing. As you can see here, it gives us some information about what's going on the radio. So in this hour, it says we're at hour 11 because it's 11 o'clock here where we are. And the hour is over by 40 seconds. So it keeps track of the hour for us. This tells me the station that I'm looking at right now. It shows me the current temperature in Poughkeepsie, which is 81 degrees. It shows me the low temperature for the day, which was 71, and so far this is the highest it's been all day. It shows me the date and what time it is. Now, we have a number of stations here, so if I click on this button, I can flip over. Let's flip over to our country station, WCZX, this is The Wolf. And right now they're playing a song by Carrie Underwood. And then they're going to go, and here's the rest of their hour, and they're going to go into, they got a couple more songs left before they go into commercial. Let me flip back over to PDH. So one of the big questions that I always get when I do these studio tours and show you computer systems and stuff is, hey, do the DJs get to pick what they want on the radio? And the answer to that question is not normally. So we have a music director who schedules all the music. Now, like for instance, on WPDH, once they get into after 9 o'clock, from 9 to 5, they do something called the no repeat workday. They don't play any of the same songs, so you won't hear the same songs between 9 and 5. So there's a computer program that actually helps schedule all that music. At noontime, he gets a little leeway because he does the whole lot of lunch where he plays lunchtime requests. And so he gets to pick a song or lets the listener pick a song. But normally he's given some criteria. Hey, make sure it's within the format we play. So if you called up and said, hey, I wanted to hear the latest song from Taylor Swift, he can't play that because it's a rock station. Also, he has to look at what got played last hour and what got played and what's getting played in the next hour. So if you request a song that's going to be played, let's say at 1:15, that's a song he wouldn't necessarily play, or he'd move it up and then have to replace the song there. So the list is generated out. Now, if I come over to I'm going to move the screen around here. So here I can look at, and let me go to WPDH. I can give you the whole WPDH log for the day. So here are all the songs. So if you say, hey, what song is going to play this afternoon at 3:45, it's going to be Tom Petty. That's, for the most part, what's probably going to happen on the radio. If you say to me, hey, what's going to play tomorrow? Now, the music director has tomorrow's log done. So tomorrow at 10 a.m., you're going to hear Bryan Adams followed by Pink Floyd. And that list has already been set up in the computer. Actually, if I look ahead here, I can see he's actually got music done through Friday. So I could tell you Friday at 4:15, we're going to be playing Journey, Into the Kinks, into Aerosmith. and that log will be pretty much accurate for what's going on. So most of the stations, so if you are in a studio like this, you know, you'd actually see the disc jockey doing things. So I'm going to flip it. The studio I'm in is actually our Spanish station. So I'm going to actually go to that. But I can actually go ahead and show you how we go live on a radio station and how we can fire off some stuff. So I'm going to turn the speakers on. You're going to hear some Spanish music, and I'm going to put the control console up. I'm going to put up my things, and I'm going to make a few adjustments over here on the thing. So what I'm doing over here is I'm taking the computer and I'm going live to the studio. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to actually go ahead and we're playing a song here, and I can actually control the song and go into the next event. So here, I'll show you here. So if you can hear, so there's that song. I'm going to fire the next event, and then I'm going to hit the next song, and now I've actually controlled what we're doing and gone into the next song. So really what you're doing is you're pushing buttons on the control station to make things happen. And I'm just going to set this back up. So what happens is when there's nobody, so for our Spanish station, we don't have anybody that actually does a live show. The thing just sits here and the computer mixes the songs together. So that way, you know, it's going to keep playing these songs. And we do have some live shows that come in at night. So they'll come on and they'll do what I just did, and they'll play the music and they'll hit buttons and do whatever. I'm going to actually show you, I do a show on our light music station, which is in Kingston, and I record my show because being the engineer, I have a pretty full schedule during the day. So I actually get, when I'm on the air from noon to 7 every day. I actually just record parts of my show, because I don't have the ability to do the show live because of my full-time job at the station. So what I'm going to show you here in a second is I actually get to record parts of my show. So I'm going to kind of move adjust my thing here, John, for us, and see if I can, nope, that's not the way I want to adjust it. Let's see, this way maybe. And I'm going to kind of put this down a little bit. Oh, there we go. And I'm actually going to, maybe I'll lower this. Sorry, I need a producer in here. And get this so you guys can see me. I'm actually going to put my headphones on, and I'm actually going to record part of my show for today. Let's see. There we go. Put that a little lower so you can actually sort of see me. And I'm going to turn like this. And I'm going to actually do 2 breaks. One, I'm talking over a song. So I'm talking over a Mariah Carey song. And then the next one, I'm talking out of a Kelly Clarkson song. And I'm actually going to talk about you guys and me doing the demo here on the radio. So that'll be kind of cool. Now you're going to notice when I go to record that you're going to hear the music that I'm talking around. But the minute I turn my mic on, you're going to notice our studio speakers here go off. Part of that is because you don't want that playing while I'm trying to talk, because we create a feedback loop and you get that on the radio. It would sound bad. You turn the radio off. So I have to use my headphones, of course, because once the speakers go off, I can't hear anything only out of this thing here. So let me just adjust my levels here. And I'm going to leave my microphone off. So you guys are going to hear what I hear until I go to talk. This is the song I'm coming out of. 94.3 Lot FM, the Hudson Valley's relaxing favorites while you work. We're in the middle of another long set of the songs you know and love. The songs you can sing along to, and she's celebrating her 30th anniversary of releasing her first album. This is Mariah Carey on 94.3 Lot FM. So now I just recorded that, so this is what it sounds like when you listen to it on the radio. This is what it's going to sound like. You will know. 94.3 Lot FM, the Hudson Valley's relaxing favorites while you work. We're in the middle of another long set of the songs you know and love. The songs you can sing along to. She's celebrating her 30th anniversary of releasing her first album. This is Mariah Carey on 94.3 Lot FM. Now I'll save that, and the computer will play that around 12:30. I'm going to do one more break for you guys because I want to talk about you guys being in the studio with us today and doing this live demo with all the scouts, which I think would be kind of cool. So here we go again. You'll hear part of it until I turn the mics on. There's Kelly Clarkson, Already Gone on 94.3 Light FM. We've got relaxing favorites while you work as we go through this Wednesday afternoon. And, you know, ever since the pandemic, we haven't had any guests come into our studios. So normally during a regular day, we would have clients that come in. We would, during the later part of the day, we would have tours that come in, whether it be groups or organizations. And one of them would be scouts. That would come in as part of their scouting program and learn a little bit about radio and how we do things. So since the pandemic, we've been doing these virtual things. And one of the things that Hudson Valley Council and the Rip Van Winkle Council here in our area is doing is they're doing their Scout in the Box, which is their virtual summer camp program. And they asked me to do a live demo of radio. So I actually have tons of scouts that are on a Zoom conference with us, and they're watching me do this on the radio right now. And scouts from all across the country are on. And I just want to say hi to everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Zoom demo today, and thank you for sort of being on the radio. Normally I would make them all scream and yell and stuff, but not as possible with the Zoom thing. But they are watching me now talk and point to them and do cool things. So thank you guys for letting me talk to you today. And we'll let the people on the radio get another long set of relaxing favorites on next here on Light FM. So there you go. So sort of how we do a radio break here from a radio studio. So I see we're coming up. That's been about 25 minutes of me talking and going through things. John, I don't know if we have any questions that came up in the chat that we want to take some time to answer.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, this is really cool. Thank you for doing this. The first question we have here, well, at least the most recent question. So when is that spot going to play? What you just did just then?
That's going to come up at about 12:45.
12:45, and that's not what radio is it? It's Light FM. What's that?
So that's 94.3 on the FM dial. If you're out of town, you can go to our website at 943lightfm.com.
All right.
There's a listen live speaker right there. You can click on it.
That's really cool. All right, so let's see. I got a bunch of questions here. So what are the Town Square Media? What all type of radios stations do you have there? What are all the types of stuff that you do?
So obviously PDH is our classic rock. We have WRRV, which is our rock alternative. So that's normally more like an alternative based music. We have The Wolf, which is our country station, so current country music. We have Light FM, which is one of our newer formats here that we're doing. This is like a soft adult contemporary. Think of it like a soccer mom type of thing, you know, songs from the 80s and 90s mixed with some somewhat current music here. We have a Spanish format. We're the only one doing Spanish in this area, and that's it's like a pop Latin-based format. So Spanish, believe it or not, they have something called Regional Mexican, which I understand is more like their version of country. We were doing that for a while, but for us, we felt we were more competitive if we were doing like a Latin-based pop type of thing. So we actually do that on the Spanish station, and it runs without anybody on it. It's really just music. It seems to do fairly well. People seem to like it. So, and I think that's all we got here. So what happens with us is some of our stations are on more than one signal. So like the country station is 2 stations and the rock alternative is 2 stations. And actually PDH is 2 stations too to cover more of the area. So PDH has a second station that's up in Jeffersonville, which is in Sullivan County, because the signal, we kind of lose the PDH main signal there. So we have another frequency it's on. Country has 2, sort of the way they kind of skin the cat to make sure a lot of people can hear it.
Awesome. Another question here. The original question: have you ever talked on air? I think it's pretty obvious you have. So how frequently? Like, what's your career? Because I know your name on the air is not Reg, right?
Right.
Can you
So
tell us a little bit about
my
that?
name on the air is Rick Knight. Back when I started, I was I've been doing this for 25 years, believe it or not. And when I started on the air, my full name is Reggie Osterhout. So they said, hey, you got to change. Back in the day, when I started in the early 90s, these surveys would come out, these rating surveys, and your idea was to get as many rating points as you could because that helps you generate revenue. Because part of this is still a business. The reason we have the commercials on the air is we have to generate money to pay people to be here and to run the radio stations. There's a lot of expense to running a radio station. The licensing fees alone are just ridiculous. So you want to get those rating points. So they said, hey, you could write down the on-air personality that you listen to get credit. So they said, you got to come up with a different last name. I said, what goes with Reggie other than Reggie Jackson? And I didn't want to be Reggie Jackson. So they're like, well, change your whole name. So we did names on a board, and we kind of came up with Rick Knight. It's what I've always used on the air. I've done everything from country music to pop music to the softer side of the music here. I'm on the air every day from 12 to 7. This is my latest thing. I've been a program director, somebody who runs a radio station. Actually, I run this radio station now. It's a number of years ago, I've always had a technical background. So I moved into the engineering side of things, just because the radio business can be quite fickle. Actually, through the pandemic here, we're down to, we actually lost a lot of people. We had to let some people go. And in the building during the day, a lot of our staff is working from home. We only have 4 or 5 people in the building, if it's that. The other day we had 2 in the building. And we have a 2-story complex here. So it's, you get to run around with your shoes off and stuff. It's cool.
Wow. Okay. Have you ever interviewed any famous people?
I have. I was just trying to think about it the other day. Charlie Daniels died. Charlie was a big country star through the late 70s and 80s. Charlie was my first interview I think I ever did. I had a chance to meet him up in Catskill. Really, really nice guy. I've interviewed a number of country stars. I'm trying to think. I was just watching something last night. I don't know why it caught me, but Casey Kasem, who was big through the 70s and 80s and 90s as the king of countdowns. I had a chance to interview Casey one year. And that was kind of cool because Casey was a really nice guy, and he was the voice of Shaggy on Scooby-Doo. And you could get Casey to actually go in and do the voices. So I had a chance to talk to him. He was doing, every year he would call, and he was big into the Jerry Lewis Labor Day telethon where they'd raise money. And so he would do the radio interviews, and he'd talk about his countdown and stuff. And you're like, hey, can you do Shaggy? And he would actually do the voice and stuff. So that was kind of cool. Sometimes you interview, you actually meet celebrities and stuff. Back when I was doing country's a awesome format because those people are, those celebrities just love to talk to people. And they're really kind of down home. The pop side of things, sometimes you get artists, sometimes you don't. But God, the country stars back in the day. I mean, when Toby Keith was coming up, I had a chance to meet him backstage, Vince Gill and stuff like that back when I was in my younger years doing country music. And they were really great. The country side of things is just really cool.
That's awesome. A question here. How come the songs never finish on the radio?
Well, I got to tell you, sometimes sometimes it's the on-air personality. You know, they just they like to hit the button a little earlier than they should. Sometimes they like to fade out. I know on WPDH we get called out if we don't play the. So there's especially in the classic rock world, there's the album version of the song. So there's the song you actually, if you went out and bought the album back in the day, there's a song the version you listen to, and then then radio takes it and they chop it up to make it shorter, because the more songs you can play in the hour, the better. If you have a 5-minute song, but you can make it 3 because they keep looping the same thing. So on PDH, we get called out if we play the shorter version of a song because the audience is just so fickle. They like to hear the full length of the song. So we normally have to play the album cuts, but it means we play less songs in the hour. But hey, that's what the audience wants. Sometimes that's a nature of either the radio. So it's either a combination of radio. We have what they call a radio edit, where we chop a song up, or somebody on the air just decides the song's fading down. They're fast and they go.
Wow. Okay. Question here. I don't know who this is, but do you know Cubby Bryant?
Paul Cubby Bryant. Yep. I met Cubby before. I know of him. I don't know if you know me, but we've met before. We actually worked for the same company a while ago. Yep. He's in New York City. He worked for Z100 and now works for Light FM in New York.
All right. Great. All right. I have a question here. If they have all of those processors, why does the music have so much static?
Well, it depends on where you're listening to. So radio frequencies are licensed for an area. So for instance, WPD, and so they're licensed for an area, and then the radio stations have different classes. So certain radio stations are bigger than others. So WPDH is what they call a Class B. It's a 50,000 watt radio station. So it covers more of an area. For instance, my radio station that I'm on in Kingston is a Class A, and it covers less of an area. So for instance, you don't hear this radio station in Wappingers Falls. Now PDH, if you listen to that, that's a fairly big station. You can hear it in multiple counties all over this part of New York. Keep remembering there's people on from all over. But so there's different classes of radio stations. So depending on where your radio station is licensed to and how much power it has, so you could be in an area where it's shadowed, where there's mountains and hills. Like I always talk to people in New York City, and they can't understand, because actually you get into this whole thing, but part of our demographics, we are considered part of the New York City metro area. And they go, I can't understand, why can't we hear your radio station in New York City? I'm like, well, there's a mountain range, and we're 2 hours north of New York City. It all has to do with power. It all has to do with where you are. I have a guy who calls me who lives to the south of here. Some days he gets WPDH, some days he doesn't. He's in a fringe area, and it's all atmosphere. Some days the atmosphere is better than others, so he gets the radio station. Other days he doesn't. And it really upsets him because he likes the radio station. So it all has to do with where the FCC, it's actually controlled by the government. So like if I turn WPDH up too high, I'm actually in violation of my license, and the FCC can come in and they can shut us down or give us a fine or whatever.
Wow. So when you were showing us how you changed songs before, when you're on the Spanish radio station, did you actually change the song at the time?
I actually did change the song. I actually faded out. You're talking about end of the song early. Yep. I did actually fade out of a song because we had like another 3 minutes left of the song, but I just faded out of it and went into the next song.
Okay. All right. So a question here. Were you in Scouts as a youth?
Yes, I was actually. I was in, I think I got through, and I'm trying to remember at the time, because I know what Scouts has changed, how far the program started. I was in for definitely 3 or 4 years. And we had a small pack in Claremont, New York. And I think I made it into Weeblo. But, I give credit to the moms that were trying to run it. And it was tough. They were trying to run multiple levels at the same time. So they were doing the same things over and over every year. And after a while, you lose interest. So I kind of never really pursued it. But I was in for a couple of years. Still have, I found my, I used it for something. I found my actual Cub Scout hat with pins on it.
Oh, wow, that's great. Now, how has scouting, your time in scouting as a youth and in general as an adult leader, has it helped you in your career in the radio?
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, it's just great the scouting program is a great networking thing. You meet so many different people from different areas. So in this business, you're always networking and trying to meet people and do things. Especially since I've become the engineering side of things. First of all, one of the things we always say in radio is you're always a student of radio. They're always learning and growing because things do change. Even things I did when I was 20 are not the same as they are now. So you're always learning and growing. And the nice thing about scouting too is I'm always learning and growing. I'm fascinated sometimes when we get together and we get maybe somebody to come in and teach the kids knots or something to do with, doing something else, something that I maybe never have done before. And I'm sitting there just as much as our scouts are kind of engaged in the whole thing. And some of that stuff, believe it or not, you learn some real life useful skills that you end up going, oh, you know what? I just dealt with this whole thing. Or like, I have to, go out and I'm at a transmitter site and I got to tie this up so it's secure. And I'm actually, well, you know what? I actually learned a knot I could use that's useful. There's just real life useful stuff in scouting. And I just find it fascinating. I mean, we go out in the woods and still building the campfire and setting up tents and doing things. And there's that kind of magic when you get out there, and I love it.
That's great. Do you have any advice for any of the scouts that might be interested in a radio career or anything in the entertainment industry?
Work hard. It definitely is a thing. One of the things we see from this generation is just hey, I expect things are going to be handed to me. It takes a while. It takes a drive. It takes a dedication. I would recommend interning. I don't know how that's going to look in the near future. We're even evaluating our intern program, but an intern is a great place to come in because one of the things is the business is for some people and it's not for others. It's more of a lifestyle than it is a job. My wife will tell you that because radio definitely is always part of your life. And for some people that's cool, for other people it's not. So it gives you kind of a taste of the business. I also found there's other parts of the business. There's marketing and there's sales and there's business and administration. God, I had an intern once. She learned and you should always learn all parts of the business so you understand it, but she learned everything, programming a radio station, being on the air, the engineering, all the stuff. And the poor girl wanted to go into marketing. And I never got her there. So we always looked at the intern program to make it more well-rounded now. And as much education as you can. I have a communications degree in science. I'm not sure I use my degree in anything, but as much education as you can get. I did do some public speaking as well, so I have a degree in public speaking and stuff. There's necessarily no radio degree. There's some radio broadcast schools and stuff, but a lot of what I learned on the job. But a good educational background is really important. As much schooling as you can get is always a good thing because it does help to get your foot in the door. But interns, definitely, because I got to tell you get in the business and either you love it or you hate it. I don't think there's in the middle like, oh, it's okay.
Wow, that's great. Well, Reg or Rick Knight, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm a little sad you didn't put me in the category of famous people that you've interviewed. That's okay. It's all right. But I hope to come back on your show to talk about scouting again in the future. And thank you so much for coming.
Well, thanks for having us. And John, you're welcome anytime.
All right. Thank you. All right, everyone. We'll see you later, 3 p.m. Remember, we have our guest speaker spot featuring scouters from the past to talk about what scouting was like in the 50s and 60s and all that good stuff. So we'll see you later. Reg, thank you so much. Take care.